I'll say this right now on camera, and I'll say this to Nigel Farage right now. I will leave this job and I will come and work in government to push this policy through, because I'm willing to take all the flack. I'm willing to take all the name calling. I don't care. I've had it for years, and I've been talking about this issue since, about 2000. I've got a long track record on this. I am absolutely willing to go into government.
Nigel Farage was unequivocal when launching Operation Restoring Justice today. Mass deportations are possible.
Can deport hundreds of thousands of people over the 5 years of a reform government.
But his plan today represents a massive victory for the so-called online right. You know, commentators like me, who Farage and Zia Yusuf were dismissing just a few short months ago as unrealistic or extremists on the fringes for demanding mass deportations of every single illegal migrant in the country, no matter when they arrived. Indeed, Nigel had even declared to Stephen Edgington of GB News in that now infamous interview that deporting hundreds of thousands of criminals was impossible.
It's a political impossibility to deport hundreds of thousands of people. We simply can't do it. At the moment, it's a political impossibility.
But is it your ambition?
No. Yeah, I'm not going to get dragged down the route of mass deportations or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, people are always going to come and go, and we are a country that's engaged in international trade, and we have relationships around the world through the Commonwealth, etc. But yeah, we have to aim at a balanced migration policy.
But net zero still means hundreds of thousands of people coming into Britain, immigrants coming into Britain. Isn't that too many?
It may well be, but we have to start somewhere.
Trump says in America that he wants mass deportations. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants are in Britain at the moment. Some estimates say the number could even be in, 1 million plus. So do you support deporting all of those people?
It's impossible to do. Literally impossible to do.
In terms of the atmosphere in Britain, are you concerned that there is a rising level of anti-white hatred?
I'm just concerned about a deeply divided society.
So it is a question of, will the real Mr. Farage please stand up, as his robust plan today calls for the UK to quit all foreign treaties used by lawyers to hamper deportations, up to 650,000 deportations over Reform's first term in power. That's 288,000 a year. Savings up over £40 billion. Instant detention in camps for those entering the country. Threats to countries refusing to accept returns treaties. Rejection of concerns about what happens to illegal migrants when they're deported. Sweeping detention powers for the Home Secretary. Anyone who comes here illegally will be ineligible entirely to claim asylum. But does today's mass deportation plan really deliver? Well, there are two clear schools of thought on this within the so-called online right. The first is that Reform is the best we are ever going to get, and they've moved as far to the right on this issue as they'll go. Indeed, Julia Hartley Brewer, the star host of Talk TV, today pledged live on air during her show, I wonder how her bosses felt about that she will quit her media career to help push through Farage's plan.
I'll say this right now on camera, and I'll say this to Nigel Farage right now. I will leave this job and I will come and work in government to push this policy through, because I'm willing to take all the flack. I'm willing to take all the name calling. I don't care. I've had it for years, and I've been talking about this issue since, about 2000. I've got a long track record on this. I am absolutely willing to go into government on a non-party political basis, go into government to help get that job done, because I think that job needs doing. I'll swear to you right now, I will happily do that. Happy to take on the civil service, happy to take on the House of Lords, happy to take on the human rights lawyers, happy to do that, because this is a job that we need doing. And if we want our country to stay the country that it almost still is for our children, for the future, I'm afraid this is what we're going to have to do. It's going to have to be all hands on deck, and we're going to have to do it. And I think it involves everybody. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. There we are. That's my offer to you, Nigel. Anyway, 11:26 is at the time.
But not everyone is as convinced. World by Wolf posted in April, the Yousaf promised we'd have a comprehensive plan to deport all illegal immigrants currently in the UK within 5 years. Today, Nigel Farage got on stage and said deporting millions of illegals is impossible, and we'll have to settle for deporting 650,000 of them. And it was actually GB News which, surprisingly, given Farage as their star presenter, questioned him on his 180. Big news! Outspoken is now available as a podcast too. So please do subscribe wherever you get yours, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and make sure you rate and review. I'll take 5 stars, if you may.
Nigel Farage, last September you told GB News that it was a political impossibility to deport hundreds of thousands of people and that you simply couldn't do it. What has changed your mind that you now believe that you can?
The political impossibility was deporting millions and millions of people, and that's where the argument had gone. We had a situation, a political difficulty within Reform UK. This does happen to parties. They do have difficulties and problems. We had a problem that one of our MPs, who's no longer an MP, was talking about deporting entire communities, including people who've been born here. And frankly, we found that unacceptable. And so I just did not want, I think you can quote me for another interview, to get dragged down the route of mass deportation.
Rupert used that slide to take Nigel on directly. So after Farage posted, there is only one way to stop people coming into Britain illegally. We must to detain and deport them. It's time for bold action. Rupert shot back. Your 3.5-page policy document is weak as piss, Farage. How on earth has it taken you so long to cobble this together? This isn't mass deportations. Your plan barely scratches the surface. 500,000 deportations? It's not enough. It's pathetic. That needs to be quadrupled at least. You stood across from me in that Essex hotel room and instructed me to remove the term mass deportation. You told the Telegraph it was a very grave, dark and dangerous use of language. Were you lying then or now? Which is it? Radical problems require radical solutions. There easily will be 2 million plus illegals by 2029, likely far more. They all need to go. Not some, as you were suggesting, but all. Britain needs real mass deportations. And he actually went much further than that. He said, Farage has just attacked me for backing mass deportations. Let me be clear about what happened. What he is referring to is my support for removing foreign dual nationals who were aware that their husband, brother, uncle or son was raping vulnerable young white girls on an industrial scale. If they knew and did nothing, then yes, they should be removed from our country. I make absolutely no apologies for stating that. I do not want such evil walking our streets. Deport them all. If that results in entire communities being deported, then that is what must happen. Obviously, the number is irrelevant. Everyone who knew and did nothing must go. If a Pakistani woman knew that her husband was raping a young white girl, facilitating it, then yes, she should go back to Pakistan with her husband. It's shocking that Farage doesn't agree. At a reform event in Essex, Farage even removed the line mass deportation from my speech. He later told the Telegraph he thought it was a very grave, dark and dangerous use of language. What's changed? In that same speech, he instructed me to remove a reference to deporting these complicit foreign nationals. I refused. I'm glad I did. He said millions can't go. I disagree. My position is clear, and it's one the British people agree with. Mass deportation of every single illegal migrant. Abolish the entire asylum system. Review all refugee claims given to illegal arrivals with deportation the default. And actually, the biggest problem of all, legal immigration. A large number of legal migrants who have failed to uphold their end of the deal need to go home too. Not working, not contributing, not integrating, not speaking English. Go home. From what I can see, the reform plan is nowhere near enough. Even on deporting illegals, it's just not enough. It's weak. They all must go, not some, all. Farage also was questioned why my plan would cost far more than his. His response, because Zia is really good at maths. No, it's because your plan is weak. All very disappointing. We need to be brave to take our country back, and this is not brave. We have already shifted the entire public debate in 6 months. Let's keep pushing. Mass deportations, and I mean proper mass deportations, must happen. And huge news today, because Rupert Lowe received strong backing on this very crucial day for Nigel Farage from the international head of the online right, Elon Musk, who started the day by posting our gorgeous St. George's flag, prompting Tommy Robinson to respond, "Revolution is coming. Nothing can stop it. The silent majority will be silent no more. Join us in our stand against tyranny on September the 13th. Where Nigel posted this morning, "Look at these scenes from yesterday. As another 650 illegals arrived in Dover, Reform will announce our blueprint for deportations." Elon called him out, writing "Post the flag of England." By the way, he also called for reform in the Church of England, arguing that it has been compromised. But this was very interesting to me because, making his allegiance clear, Musk then posted research from Rupert Lowe's rape gang inquiry, pointing out that 85 cities in Britain where local authorities were complicit in the rape of children. So the clear understanding there is that Musk has not got back on board the Farage train, despite the mass deportation plan. And interestingly, he has targeted Farage for seemingly being scared of using the St. George's flag, the England flag, because today, of course, he was behind what he described as the biggest Union Jack in the country, but there was no St. George's flag. Of course, the MSM has been shaken to its very core, having to even countenance a discussion about mass deportations. Indeed, Emma Barnett, on the BBC's Today programme, had the cheek to suggest Zia Yusuf couldn't state an actual fact. Why, you might ask? Well, because no doubt it upset her liberal sensibility. Listen to this.
Coming across the channel illegally are meaningfully more likely to be convicted of serious offences, including rape, including murder.
You cannot say that. There's not facts to back that up.
There absolutely are facts to back that up. So if you look at, for example, 22 times, Afghan nationals are 22 times more likely to be convicted of a sex offence. This is the native British people. Those are government statistics, and it's not a surprise. It is not a surprise that
who's a native British person, by the way? When you say native British people, what's your definition of that?
Citizens of this country.
Okay.
British nationals.
Right. So not necessarily somebody who was born here, somebody who perhaps has gained citizenship after arriving.
No, we're talking about British nationals. So yeah, that's the way the data is cut. And so look, that is not us or me casting a subjective aspersion on anybody. That is a data point from the government. So if you don't like the data point, you'd have to demonstrate how it is false. And that is why, by the way, the country has had enough of this. We've had enough.
How dare the BBC tell him you can't say that when he's stating a fact? But it just shows you that facts don't matter to them. But as I've made clear, the right is just as unhappy today, with Maya Toosey responding to Farage's plan this way. "I thought it was politically impossible. As Reform said previously, that's the thing with party politics. They go where the wind blows. Keep pressure on them and they'll eventually follow you. They're not leaders, they're followers." And actually, I think that's our job here in the independent media on what is my 300th show of Outspoken. Let's necessitate these conversations. But I did want to give some credit to Farage for just 1 minute, because maybe what's happening is that today he finally feels confident to express how he really feels. As World by Wolf pointed out about this unearthed clip that I'm about to show you, is this the real Nigel Farage? Here he demonstrates his encyclopedic knowledge of Enoch Powell. Powell was his political hero, and Farage calls him extraordinary in every way. Where did this Farage go? Clearly he was corrupted somewhere along the way. A tragedy. Well, watch this and maybe hope that this Nigel Farage has today returned.
The bloke was extraordinary in every way, but he said, "I feel like the Roman, standing on the banks of the Tiber, foaming with much blood." And of course it became known as the Rivers of Blood speech. The problem with that speech was this: that you need to be in politics, if you're there not just for a career, but you're there to change things, to move things on. You need to be ahead of public opinion, to try and be a magnet, and to bring public opinion and bits of the media and change with you. I've done that throughout the last 20 years. I've tried to keep putting the flag, further and further out in the ground. But there's a problem if you go too far ahead and you go to a place that people simply aren't ready to even conceive. And it led to the destruction of the career of, without doubt, the most talented post-war politician in Britain. But it did something else. It also allowed that liberal media elite to make immigration a banned subject. And from 1968 until me in 2003-4, nobody with a sensible voice or view in British politics dared to touch the subject. So the irony was that Powell was right in many ways, not in every way, but right in many ways. The irony was he stopped it being a debate.
So, are we getting the old Nigel Farage back? To react now, Peter Whittle, the founder and director of the New Culture Forum. But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixers on the market are actually nothing but glorified moisturizers. They hardly make a dent on your appearance. Some can even be harmful to your skin, he said. Now, recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So that he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. He says it's almost like Photoshop for your face, and you may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. So in light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public. It is free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. And he says if this helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, he will be thrilled knowing he helped. The video's gone viral. It started on Facebook. There's been well over 2 million views now. And I mean, women all around the world, thousands of women actually, are reporting they look decades younger. One commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you." So you can find out more about this yourself right now at bhmd1.com/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. That's probably easy, but let me repeat the address: bhmd1.com/outspoken. Dr. Lake does ask one thing from his viewers. If watching the video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share it with your friends and loved ones, because together we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. So go watch the video right now at bhmd1.com/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show. Peter, huge day in British politics, one that has been somewhat overshadowed, at least online, by Elon Musk's intervention. I want to come to that in just one moment. But first, what do you make of Reform UK's plan? Who's right on this? Is Julia Hartley Brewer right, saying actually this is a plan that she can get behind? She would happily, or she is planning to quit her job and go and help Nigel in Downing Street. It's that good. Or Rupert Lowe, who says actually this is just 600,000 people. It's not a proper mass deportation plan at all.
Well, my attitude to it, my reaction to it was, first of all, pleased to actually see, sort of figures out there, actually, and practical measures. And I think this is the first time we've seen this from any party. So that in itself is extremely refreshing and encouraging. When it comes to, I think it's entirely doable. I don't believe that, Nigel was right when he said that originally about things not being doable, can't go down that route and those sort of things he said. I think it's completely doable when there is a will to do something like this, then there is always a way, Dan. And if nothing else, the pandemic actually is what taught us that, and taught many people that governments they can move heaven and earth when they need to. So I've been broadly encouraged by it. I think Julia was very brave to sort of say on air that she would leave her job and go and help. I'm broadly behind it. I think that one thing I would say is that it could well be that, in fact, it gets even more radical as time goes on. We are still maybe 3 or 4 years away from an election.
Yes. What do you make of this Elon Musk intervention today? Because the timing is not coincidental. He's well aware that Farage is launching this mass deportation plan. He started, and I thought it was glorious and beautiful, by the way, posting that St. George's flag. But 2 direct responses to Nigel Farage. One, really calling him out for not using this flag. And you will note today, Peter, and for a lot of reasons you can understand why, of course, Reform UK is a party of the United Kingdom, but he seems to have picked up on this sense that Nigel Farage is in some way not completely embracing this raising the colours movement, certainly not when it comes to the England flag.
Yes, it's interesting actually, because there's no question that the England flag absolutely predominates, in this particular initiative that's been going on, raising the colours. I spoke about this actually on the New Culture Forum yesterday. Enormous response, actually, Dan. I mean, you talk about the Overton window, shifting. I mean, it's extraordinary. People just are so sort of relieved to see some form of reaction, and I would say of the very best kind, i.e., a peaceful one. No one is suggesting anything else other than that, but that it's a kind of a mass movement which has actually come from the absolute grassroots. It's a groundswell, in a classic case of a groundswell. And I think that's wonderful. When it comes to Elon Musk, I mean, I think that, I would say that Nigel can't then start posting, just because Elon's told him to, in the nature of these things. My sort of perception is that in these matters, that Elon Musk's voice has sort of diminished anyway. I feel we've got the kind of wind in our sails ourselves now. But of course, one wants his support. But I think that whereas once upon a time it was sort of directing things, I don't think it is now. One thing I would say, by the way, about this point that people have been mentioning about leadership and how Nigel was saying one thing and then basically now he's following the public where the public opinion is going. I'd say one thing about that, and I worked with Nigel very closely for a long time actually, Dan. Where I always admired him is that he was doing everything a leader should do when it came to Brexit. When he started UKIP in 1993, I mean, essentially, you were a nutcase if you believed in leaving the EU. It was the most kind of fringe of fringe beliefs. And he stuck at it for 20 years until the early noughties, finally broke through. Well, if that isn't doing what you're meant to do as a leader, and I don't know what is. I mean, if you bring people round to your view, then basically, that is what leadership is. If there's a difference this time, I think it is because it's a new game they're playing. It's an entirely new game. You're talking about something which should have been unthinkable even 2 or a year ago, and that is a Farage government. And so I think there might be an element of having, carrying the Ming vase very carefully across, the shiny floor, as they always say about elections. So I think that is what I would say possibly is behind that. But I mean, I think it is they are getting youth reform to an entirely new game. Actually, for that matter, so are we. I mean, I found it extraordinary and interesting. If this is how a government is going to be, a reform government is going to be, at the press conference this morning in that big hangar, which I thought was quite inspired actually to do it there. You might have, did you? I don't know if you watched it all.
Yes, I did. I did.
Yeah, all the mainstream media, all that they were concerned about was what would happen to these people if they returned to various countries. It didn't give a damn about anything to do with the British people. They never even mentioned any victims of any of these people. They did not mention social cohesion. They didn't mention any of the things that worry, I would say, the vast majority of people, and certainly people like you and me, at all. All they were talking about was, are you quite happy for people to go back with the possibility that they will be tortured or something like that?
To Afghanistan, the Taliban, totally. I mean, they showed their true colours.
No, they showed their true colours. I would say this, and this is another thing, and I know I'm going on a bit now to break down, but the fact is that compared to Brexit, getting this sort of thing done is going to, well, Brexit will be like a tea party, because how people in our establishment have defined themselves for so long now is on issues such as this, on their attitude to migration, on their belief that somehow their responsibility is to the global community, not to the British one, their general disdain, therefore, for the British one, their dislike of the nation, all of these things. They are going to fight tooth and nail. I think it is going to be the hardest battle to get these things implemented. That, by the way, is not saying they shouldn't be put forward to be implemented. Of course they should. It's just that I think that we've got a mother of all battles facing us. And in fact, we saw it in a brief way this morning with the mainstream press all assembled there.
Got some breaking news here, though, Peter Whittle, which relates to what we were discussing earlier in the show, and exactly what I was predicting in terms of Elon Musk has just happened. This wasn't coincidental. His posts in regard to Nigel Farage earlier in the day, because he has now launched a full-throttled attack on the Reform UK leader. This has just been posted since we've been on air. I want to take you through it, and then I'll get your reaction, Peter. So Elon Musk has posted on X. Unfortunately, the reality is that Farage will do almost nothing to protect Britain. That is obvious. Existing law is clear that anyone who was an accessory to aggravated rape or murder, especially of children, is guilty of serious crime and must either serve time in prison if a citizen or be deported if not. The government simply needs to enforce the law. But Peter, huge line there. The reality is that Farage will do almost nothing to protect Britain. Shots fired for Elon Musk. And we have to remember that Farage and Nick Candy were sitting down with Elon Musk at Mar-a-Lago in January.
That's right, yes. I don't know, has Nigel Farage got back? Has he responded in any way?
No, I mean, Musk has literally posted that within the last 5 minutes.
Well, it's basically a shot across the bow, isn't it? I mean, it's just like, he's throwing down a gauntlet. But I don't know what the state of relations is between them now. But I mean, it would seem to me that, the best thing that Nigel could do would be to sort of just simply, probably ignore it if he could bring himself to. But it's a difficult one. I tend to feel that basically I was broadly happy with what I saw today. I think that, I think there's more sincerity than maybe in Nigel than maybe Elon Musk gives him credit for.
Peter, another piece of breaking news. Are you a Swiftie?
I'm sorry?
Are you a Swiftie? Do you know what that means? A fan of Taylor
not really,
Swift?
but I know what it is. It's a fan of Swift. Yeah.
Literally, Justin, she's engaged to Travis Kelce, and this is going to be news which absolutely dominates pop culture. And of course, what interests me about this is the way that high-profile figures sort of engineer this now. Look, there's a full photo shoot which has been revealed, and they don't seem to do this with any publication or anything. They just put it out there all through, you know, she was on his podcast the other day. This is an interesting one for me. I've actually, people might not know, but in my former life, I knew Taylor Swift pretty well, actually. I was one of the first people in the United Kingdom who sort of interviewed her and everything. Her pop culture impact is massive, and this will be a huge story. Peter, I guess we should probably just say congratulations. Let's hope you don't F her over, because otherwise you will be subjected to the most terrible treatment in album after album after album.
She is, she's been with this guy for quite some time, right?
Yeah, a decent period of time. Yeah. A decent period of time. I mean, a lot of people always thought she was going to end up with a Brit because, you know, she was with the Brits for a very long time. But this dude's like, he's all American. You know, he's the NFL superstar.
Yeah. No, I find the whole phenomenon of Taylor Swift very, very interesting. I mean, you know, I think it's always hugely interesting why that particular person, you know, like Madonna actually back in, well, that's my era in the 1980s. Why do these people become so big? So unbelievably influential? What is it? What does it say about the current, you know, culture? I find that kind of very, very interesting. But I mean, I'm sure I know more of her songs than basically.
It's much better not to talk about Taylor Swift's politics, because she thought she was going to swing the US election when she came out in favor of Kamala Harris, and it fell flat on its face. So I think Taylor Swift was much better when she stayed out of politics. But look, Peter Whittle, I feel like we've done it all today. Good Lord. The breaking news from Elon Musk going on an attack against Nigel Farage to Taylor Swift being engaged. But of course, your brilliant, brilliant documentary on the way that diversity destroyed Bournemouth is available to watch as part of the Heresies series on the New Culture Forum. And I'm very delighted to say I am going to be appearing on the New Culture Forum this week on the Deprogrammed podcast, which I'm very, very excited about. So I'll show everyone that when it's out, but I'm recording that tomorrow morning. So Peter Whittle, thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed, Dan.
Thank you. Now, don't go anywhere, because, of course, straight after the show today, our major Royal Uncancelled after show is going to be premiering live on YouTube. I want you to be part of this. It's really good fun, so don't go anywhere, because it starts in just 5 minutes' time. But first, I want to reveal today's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass. Before I do that, though, to your comments, lots of super chats today. Stevie Leeds says, anyone with a brain needs to be Advance UK Party supporters. Farage is flip-flopping. Eclectic Deb says, it's amazing to me that there appears to be a worldwide script for this agenda. I hear the same exact garbage from the left here in the US. And Helen O.D. says, if people keep telling themselves that reform is the only hope, they're in big trouble. It's a long, long time till the next election. Plenty of time to test and challenge. That's sort of where I'm at, Helen. Stuart Pfeiffer says, I'll be voting for Advance UK. In my eyes, reform is just another Labour or Conservative party. Farage will say one thing to get our votes, the flip-flop once in power. Dominus Diabolus says, the last time I listened to BBC Radio 4 about 7 years ago, there were several women telling me how racist the country was, never tuned in again. Have to say, nothing has changed. From Pamela, I used to trust Nigel until I saw an interview where he said that he is not going to do a mass deportation of these criminals, and that's it for me. The trust is gone. We are in a bloody mess. Tina Kennedy says, still can't believe this man thinks we will take him seriously while he is still parading Zia Yusuf around. Get him out first, and then maybe. Oh my God, I so agree with you on that one. And similar from Stu Kellor, who says, Zia is the real leader of reform. What was he even doing on the stage? He couldn't wait to make himself centre of attention. I thought that he's the head of bloody Doge UK. Why is he leading a mass deportation press conference? What the hell does he know about that? Okay, to your Union Jackass nominees. Emma Barnett, nominated by It's Only Me 44 for her deranged outburst about Reform's illegal immigration policy. Femi Olawale, nominated by Mad Dog Photo. You know why. His ridiculous rant on Lucy Connolly. And Ian Lee, nominated by Mick Cass for banning any Reform voters coming to his show, branding all thick and racist, disgusting. And your results are in. Let me get to them. In third place, with 15% of the vote, Ian Lee. The runner-up with 13% of the vote. Sorry, in third place, Emma Barnett with 13% of the vote. The runner-up with 15% of the vote, Ian Lee. But the winner with 72% of the vote, today's Union Jackass, Femi Olawale. And today's Greatest Britain, nominated by Sarah Booth, also from the New Culture Forum, is Rafe Hadel Manku for calling out the Notting Hill Carnival for the violent gathering that it is. Stabbings, murders, thefts galore, assault, drugs, using residents' front yards as toilets. His comments are spot on, always worth listening to. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go wherever you are.